This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Welcome back to the Research Talks podcast here from Stockbox with Alan Green. And it is Alan Green only. We're having a bit of a blast from the past, going back to the old format this week because Dan is actually on holiday this week. So it's just me and you, Alan. And of course, I've been in Zurich for the early part of this week at the Swiss Mining Institute, which was really good event, actually. Probably one of the best, well, I wouldn't say probably, I say it is the best investor event I have been to. It was, as we were saying before we started recording, just the caliber, the quality of people there, you know, the likes of Willem Middelkoop from Amsterdam. Claude Berger was the main sort of host for the event here. But the feedback I got, I had meetings with companies all day, and the general consensus was that this is, out of a lot of the events that these companies have been to, this has been the best one in terms of quality of investor. So actually investors who are serious and actually have some serious money to invest, and their mindset of being long term for this sector, which is what of course we need, but their enthusiasm as well for investing. So I came away from that conference feeling pretty good. It was a very high level conference, very exclusive event, but it didn't feel, you know, sort of pretentious. It felt very intimate and just good people with a lot of money in the room doing just good business. Effectively, that's how I can describe it. And I would effectively, I'd recommend that to companies on the London Stock Exchange looking for serious investment, or indeed serious investors who want to get in front of some serious companies, really.
And you said most of the companies there, Mark, were sort of, what, 100 million market cap?
Yeah, most of them were you're talking sort of circa 100 million. Yeah, there were maybe 3 or 4 or something that were more in the kind of 10 million. But there was certainly none below 10 million, as far as I'm aware. There were none below the sort of 10 million, let's say US market cap, because a lot of them were US and Australian. The vibe I picked up generally was there's a bit the market in the US, in Australia is pretty good. Toronto is struggling a little bit, but as we discussed quite a lot, London is struggling a bit more. So there was that element as well, but it's something to take away from. But more sort of higher level market cap companies there. So they have a mix of institution and retail. But, you know, of course you can make a lot of money in the explorers, but, you know, your chances are like 1 in 100 or something like that, you know, even more really. So you can speculate at the lower end of the market, which is a note where we cover quite a lot. But it doesn't mean there's no upside to be had in a company that's 100 million going to, you know, $1 billion or something.
Well, we saw with Greatland Gold a few years ago, didn't we?
Exactly, in Greatland Gold,
25 million all the way to 1.5 billion at one point.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was Willem Middelkoop. And actually, that's still their biggest holding in his Discovery Commodity Fund.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he gave quite a few good tips. Actually, on the Highlander Resources was one of the ones he really highlighted, and he said he thinks that'll be a 10x in the next 18 months. And he said no, and people sort of chuckled, and he said, no, seriously, I think there's a 10x in this company. So you do pick up some sort of tips. Generally, the vibe was all very buoyant about gold, obviously, because gold performing very well, and there was lots of people there talking about gold. There was a Swiss analyst who was saying that did the technicals for us and was making the case technically for 3,400 in the summer, with what he called perhaps just little periods of cold showers where gold might pull back $100 to $200 at a time, but any dip is a buying opportunity. And Willem thinks that gold is going to be 5,000 in 18 months' time. So, yeah, gold was very much the talk of the town, and of course silver as well, you know, which will catch up one day with gold there. So I enjoyed the event a lot, and I'm going to summarise some of the key highlights today for our audience. But I'd recommend it, Alan, if you want to come over one day. Really good event.
Yeah, I think I might try and get to the event later in the year. I think that's the thing. We see these events in London, and there is a sense that we're really just treading water, and the London markets are struggling. So I think as with anything, if you're trying to advance your portfolio, sometimes you've got to think outside the box and just look at different ideas. That's not to say that it's not working with UK companies. Of course, we were talking about, we've seen some great examples like Greatland Gold, and I think from power metal, the power metal portfolio, Guardian
Indeed.
Metal Resources really is blazing a trail, and that's I think the assets they have are combining beautifully with the new Trump administration. Of course, the protectionist policies Trump has. I think they're in pole position, and I really do see Guardian blazing a trail, and possibly even look at 70, 80 pence later on this year.
Well, exactly. I mean, Guardian's a great example, isn't it? We're not going to talk about them in detail today,
No,
but it's good to see them up today as well on the back of that. And yeah, maybe Oliver will be at the Swiss Mining Institute later on if attracting some more institutional investment, particularly because I know with the OTC listing, and I believe that the plan is to go to a Wall Street listing, an actual NYSE.
Yeah,
be fantastic.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, from 100 million market cap companies to the lower end of the barrel, Alan, with a few companies today, but there is money to be made in the lower end at the minute. Everything's very cheap.
There is. There is indeed. So there are a couple of companies here that really have slipped back in value, and I think the assets they have warrant closer examination. And of course, whilst you're away, I interviewed Richard Belcher, the managing director of Tertiary Minerals, earlier this week, and an exciting discovery there at the Mashima North, which I'll come to in a second. But just to summarise the tertiary investment proposition, of course, the company's AIM listed. Currently got a market cap of just 1.5 million, trading at 0.44p, just off year lows, has been as high as 1.16 pence over the year. So three areas of assets. The primary area of focus is, of course, Zambia. And Zambia, the mining industry has been transformed since Hakainde Hichilema was elected in 2021, and his new government is aiming to increase copper production in Zambia from 800 tons per annum to 3 million tons per annum by 2032. They're in the process of constructing the largest copper smelter in Africa. They have a clean energy partnership with the UK government, and they are investing some $10 billion into copper mines and investment projects there. So it's a very fertile area if you have assets, and of course Tertiary does have assets. It has the Mashima North asset, which is a copper focused asset. Konkola West, also copper. The Mukai asset, which is copper. Jack's project, which is copper, and also Mopala as well. They also have assets across in the USA, in Nevada. That's of course where Guardian Metals have their assets. The Brunton Pass copper and gold project, the Lucky Copper project, the Mount Tobin silver and gold project, and the Paymaster project, which is base and precious metals. And then finally, although it's a dormant project at the moment, the company has, and we worked with them for some years, as you know, Mark, and there was a real focus on fluorspar, the fluorspar assets in Sweden, which is very much dormant at the moment, but I suspect in the current market there is an increasing demand for fluorspar, so that it could well see renewed interest in that asset. Nonetheless, it's been a year of development so far for Tertiary. Back in February, the end of February, the company announced phase 1 drilling results from Brunton Pass. 4 drill holes were drilled over at nearly 900 meters, and they intercepted thick intervals which contained anomalous copper values in all 4 of the holes. 210 meters grading 170 parts per million copper. That's roughly 0.19% copper. The best result was 0.19% copper over 1.5 meters. And the team believe that they may have drilled what they refer to as the halo of a porphyry copper deposit there. But of course, more work will be needed to confirm or establish that. And then, of course, earlier this week, we heard from the company and Richard about the Mishima North silver results back to Zambia, where the company had results from hole six, some 50 meters west of hole four, where they noted an average of 30 grams per ton silver, 0.16% copper, and 0.34% of zinc over a 36-meter stretch. Highlighted within this included 54 grams per ton of silver, 0.21% copper, and 0.33% zinc over 12 meters, and over 4 meters, 34 grams per ton silver, and 0.12% copper and 0.3% zinc. The remaining samples from that hole and all of the other samples are still with the lab. So when the team receive those results back, the Richard said that that's going to confirm, or they believe will confirm, polymetallic mineralization across the A1 target area at Mishima North. The anomaly is thought to be some 1.5 kilometers long. So obviously, if the results are consistent with the numbers we're seeing here, that could be a game changer for Tertiary, but obviously still speculative at this stage.
Yeah, still speculative, but bit of a sort of a what do you say, a refresh, if you like, with the new management coming in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Richard seems very very forthright and businesslike. He's he was certainly optimistic about the opportunity there. When I was speaking to him in the interview, there's there was considerable optimism, but obviously until they get the rest of the results back from the lab, they can't really confirm it across the wider area. But certainly, if it's borne out across the rest of the holes, then I think that's could potentially be a game changer for Tertiary further down the road.
Good. Well, thank you, Alan, for that. I know you interviewed them this week, so thank you for that while I was away. So we'll see, indeed, see how Tertiary do carry on. So the next company up, we've got Botswana Diamonds. So we're going to to Botswana, really.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So of course we've got John Teening, the chairman here, and James Gamble, the chief executive. And Botswana, the share price is suffering, but it's suffering from several reasons. Firstly, of course, we have these parlous markets in London, which are really presenting major challenges and headaches for the junior miners. But in addition to this, of course, the company is Botswana Diamonds. The diamond market is depressed at the moment too, but the management team are confident it will recover in the medium term. So they have significant assets, of course, across Botswana. So the company believes that that there is growth opportunity further down the road. But we've seen this company's market cap slip all the way down. The shares were trading as high as 10p on the year, or 0.1p on the year. Now, 0.45p on the year, and we're now down to 0.1p on the year, which is a market cap of just under 1.3 million. So it really is it really is rock bottom at the moment. But an interesting set of interims announced by the company, and of course this is at the conclusion of the company's investigation and using AI into this massive diamond geology database in Botswana that has been hugely successful. And through this work, they've identified 7 previously unreported kimberlite and anomalies. And of course, kimberlites are the pipes which are prospective for diamonds. And when those are in the ground, obviously it becomes a very exciting time for the explorers. One of those kimberlites identified is already on ground held by Botswana, and 3 others are on open ground, which Botswana Diamonds has applied for. These are in the Jwaneng region, which is home to the world's richest diamond mine. But also through this research, they've identified a series of polymetallic targets, and as well as the licenses to explore for diamonds, Botswana has also applied for 11 new license areas over approximately 7,000 meters. So it's certainly been a very fruitful exercise. Also, during the period, the company has an asset down at Thorney River, which is adjacent to the old Klipspringer and Marsfontein mines, and the dike system for which is represented by the name Thorney River, is adjacent to these mined out areas at Marsfontein, Klipspringer. Botswana explored the Thorney River pipe or dike over 7 meters, and occasionally you find in this dike exploration what they refer to as blows or swelling out, which are usually highly prospective for diamonds. Two blows were identified here, and from here were identified grades or carat per ton grades of 46 to 74 carat per ton, with a value there of 120 to $220 per carat ton. And there's thought to be between 1.2 and 2.1 tons in volume at these blows on the dike. So that's a hugely exciting target for the company to pursue. But again, at the moment, because of the depressed share price and because of the depressed diamond market, it's difficult for the company to raise money, and this is a challenge the company currently faces. We then have the KX36 asset in the Kalahari. And in the Kalahari, in the KX36, they've identified kimberlite areas. They have drill permits there for 5 holes, and again, these will be drilled once funding has been obtained. And then finally, the Mabuhay asset, which is a joint venture with Siseko over a collection of licenses south of the KX36 asset. Earlier drilling there has produced diamonds in 4 licenses, and further drilling will take place there at some point. John Dealing said in a summary that they're looking at ways to advance the diamond projects and the polymetallic projects, and the management are firmly of the opinion that the depressed diamond market will recover. So, of course, it's a speculative opportunity, but the share price, I think, has never been so low. So if you're speculating into diamonds and you're speculating on the recovery of the diamond market, I think this would be a very good proxy for that opportunity, given the varied assets and kimberlite pipes that Botswana currently has ownership of.
Indeed, I did like the fact that they've now got. There's a joke that should Botswana Diamonds be renamed to Botswana Resources, with the
Yes.
sort of renewed interest, well, not renewed but new interest in other commodities, using AI there. So let's see how it goes. Of course, I interviewed James, I think, a couple of weeks ago off the back of this, and anyway, we know that the diamond market is basically driven by demand on the ground. It's people buying it. It's retail effectively. That's what drives the price. But he did say that at some events he's been at recently, he says that the vultures are here now. That the kind of the bottom. He said the bottom feeders, the vultures are circling, which he sees as obviously a good sign. You're starting to see some of that coming back in right at the bottom there. Bullish signs for diamonds. And
Yeah.
analysts he speaks to, I think. I forget his name, but out of the diamond district of Antwerp. He said he's bullish now for the first time in a good few years. So it's not all diamonds, though, as we just explained with the new credits there. So let's see how Botswana Diamonds do indeed. Look to
Or
perhaps
Botswana
exploit
Resources, yeah.
some of the turning into Botswana Resources maybe. But thank you, Alan. So we'll now finish off with AI. Well, AI, yeah, it's a nice little segue, isn't it? We've got AI finding us new things in Botswana for Botswana Diamonds, and then we've got an AI play specifically.
Well, I think it just illustrates how the increasing role that AI is taking in these different industries. So through that AI exercise, they've identified Botswana Diamonds have identified 7 previously unreported kimberlite anomalies, and also polymetallic targets, resulting in the company applying for 11 new license areas, and that's hugely significant. I mean, that completely transforms the company in a sense. So very exciting for them. But yes, of course, Pri0r1ty AI came to market at the start of the year, and they RTO'd into what was Alteration Earth, which was an AIM shell at the time. So the company is offers an AI-driven powered or data-driven powered software as a service solution designed to help businesses at various stages of their evolutionary journey by creating efficiency through technology. And the services are based around deep learning architecture and AI models. And the the company offers a plug and play approach whereby you can sign up, you pay a monthly fee. I think the fees vary, but average around £500 a month, and that's the companies can dip in or dip out. They can have a 30-day rolling contract and dip in or dip out, which actually makes it very attractive because within a short space of time, you'll see the impact it has on the business, and then you'll know whether you want to retain the service or not. And my guess is that you probably will, given the confidence that Dan G and the team have in the asset. So the digital agent they're building for automated business processes is driven by what they refer to as Pri0r1ty Advisor, which is a bespoke AI-powered advisory bot, uses deep learning and can engage with customers, stakeholders, investors via the website, via instant messenger or email. And as with all AI models, all the data they collect goes to enrich the language model. So everything the machine learns, it improves and builds. And it uses this to build community interest maps, which then in turn power content creation and also support services. So the company's focused on four primary product lines. That's governance, financing, brand management, and marketing, which is driven by a custom AI bot built specifically for each customer. So it's been described as a bit like a doctor diagnosing ongoing challenges, the AI toolbox that the company offers. So that's probably a sensible analogy. It's taken the company a while to get here. It's taken over 2 years to build the platform, but they're aiming for 650 customers. Their break-even point is 50 customers. They have had lots of inquiries. They're still well funded, sort of post IPO, but they have made progress and signed some significant customers since the start of the year. They announced a strategic partnership in January with Funding Circle to propel growth in commercial lending, and this means Pri0r1ty AI customers can access loans up to 750,000 within minutes through the AI intervention. Pri0r1ty earn 6.5% commission from each loan placed, so that's a very strong commission deal. Then, of course, at the start of this month, March, the company announced a partnership with Halfspace, which is an award-winning UK sports and data mentoring data company. They are developing and deploying what the brand is Capitano AI. This is a natural language interface that's designed to enhance data analytic capabilities for sports and media organizations. And through this, they're working with Team GB Snow Sports and the race media as the first pilot customers for the Capitano AI bot. Now, of course, GB Snow Sports is the governing body for snow sports in the UK, also manages the British Olympic and Paralympic skiing and snowboarding teams. And the race media is one of the fastest growing names in motorsports media industry. So, the two significant partnerships there, which will help to build the Pri0r1ty AI brand and also help to bring money into the coffers, which of course is very important. And then, of course, this week, the latest development is that a 100,000 contract with Leukemia Care to develop an AI-powered information hub. This will help the charity to serve individuals affected by the disease, and also help it'll enable Leukemia Care to enhance its own digital capabilities without the need to invest into employing people and developing its own internal technical resources. So that's hugely important. And again, that's just the plug and play solution. They've agreed the deal. It's worth 100,000, and this is a further step along the road towards profitability. But we've seen since the IPO, the shares have fallen back a bit. Came to market at 12.5p, and it's come back a bit since then. It's hit a low of about 3.2p. But since that announcement with the Leukemia Care charity, the share price has leapt back up again. So I see this company really powering on. I think the model is attractive, and that's the difference. There are a lot of AI companies around, but I think the plug and play approach, the fact that you can sign up, try it for a month, or have a 30-day rolling contract, that appeals because you don't have that big long-term commitment. But at the same time, the company's confident in its offering that you can sign up and you'll see a difference, tangible difference in efficiencies and perhaps speed of operation. So that should lead to good customer retention. So yeah, I like this company. I like the model.
Excellent. Good. Well, it's an AI company that has utility, doesn't it, as well? And they're demonstrating that with the breakthrough in working with Leukemia Care here. With that, really, it's the first real tangible use case we're seeing. A lot of these AI companies have got a concept or a dream or something, but where's the actual down on the ground? Where's this going to make me some money? So this is probably just, I think, Pri0r's first step, effectively, into that realm of becoming cash generative. So it's good to see them pushing on with that, really. And I think we can expect a lot more to come, not just from a bit more work with Leukemia Care, but across other utilities that AI can be applied to.
Well, I think the partnership with Funding Circle at the start of the year, that's also significant too. Funding Circle is a key part of, small businesses growing, and then the Half Space partnership too. So, and so the company is really bringing deals in, and I think it's going to be judged. It's successful will be judged on its deal flow. And so long as it keeps on bringing these contracts across the threshold, then more power to them.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Alan, for your time. I do wish you a pleasant weekend, and we'll speak again with the three of us next week.
Thanks, Mark, and you too. Have a great weekend.
Super. If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.